Everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Hello, everybody. Yes, we're in the house. Hello, everybody. How you doing? How you doing out there? Yes, we are live today. Somebody's already on our live stream asking if we are live today. Of course we're live today. I mean, the new year's over. We're back to work. Of course. What do you expect? Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Let me see if my guest, Kevin, are you on the line?
I'm here. Good afternoon, Armstrong. How are you?
You actually believe in being on time. I'm impressed.
Very glad to be here with you.
I'm impressed. We're glad to have you. You know, we're glad to have you. You know, it's interesting that you're going to talk about health savings account and can save you money on health care in the 2013 where we find ourselves. You know, that is something that is Kevin. Is it McKechnie?
It's McKechnie Armstrong.
Kevin
McKechnie.
McKechnie is the executive director of the ABA Health Savings Account Council, and it's a partnership of banks, health insurers, and technology partners working to finance health care for more Americans by increasing the adoption velocity of health savings nationwide. It sounds like you're on your cell phone moving around.
You know what? I think we're just having a little interference. We solved that problem. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, talk to us about health savings accounts. We're excited about hearing about this, especially if we can save money.
Well, I think that's the number one reason to start talking about these, Armstrong. Our mission is to save money for as many Americans as we can because, as you're aware, everyone is going to have health insurance in 2014 or face a penalty. And so when that day comes, there has to be something affordable people can buy. And HSA plans are the most affordable plans in the marketplace.
The good thing about this show, you don't have to talk in sound bites. We really want you to get into the substance of this to help people to understand it.
Well, here's what it is then. Most major medical plans have a deductible. Sometimes it's $250, $500, and it covers all of your office visits. It covers hospital care. HSA plans are exactly the same thing. And what that means is it is a major medical plan. Now, it has a higher deductible. And I'll give you an example. Next year, for an individual, the minimum deductible these plans have will be $1,250. And for a family, the minimum deductible will be double that. It's $2,500. And it's paired with a major medical plan. And that major medical plan covers all the things that other plans cover, including a couple of other things. But the point is, when you contribute money to your account and you pay routine expenses out of that account, all the contributions you make to it are deductible from your income tax. And the money in the account grows over time tax-free. And when you take it out of your account to pay for qualified medical expenses, that comes out tax-free. And the best part is, if you save all the way to 65, you can take it out as either regular income or continue to take it out tax-free for qualified medical expenses. That's important for just one big reason. Fidelity Investments just released their report. They estimate that a husband and wife retiring next year are going to need $250,000 just to cover their health care bills. That's not living or eating or traveling. That's just to cover health care bills. This is the only product in the marketplace where you're encouraged to save and where those savings build up over time tax-free and where they come out at the end of the road, at the end of your working life at 65, as either income, which you pay taxes on, or money to be used for your retirement health care, which you don't pay taxes on. I think that's the biggest advantage. And we've seen it in practice. And I'll give you a good example. In Indiana, former Governor Mitch Daniels switched over the entire state benefit program to health savings account plans. And when he did that, he saved about 15%. Let me say that again, because everyone else talks about health care in terms of how much did it go up this year. Well, it didn't go up at all in Indiana. It went down. And now, state employees in Indiana have something that all the rest of us don't have. They've got $54 million in their accounts cumulatively that they can use for qualified medical expenses in the future. If you had a traditionally built plan, all of those monies would have already been gone. More than likely, they would have been gone as premiums to your insurance company. And so the differences here are stark. That's the point. And let me give you the actual numbers here, Armstrong, because I want everyone listening to understand. If you're just a person, you have to have a plan that has a minimum deductible of $1,250, but you can contribute $3,250 and take that amount of money off your income taxes. If you're a family, and there is only individual and family, the minimum deductible is $2,500, but the contribution limit is $6,450, which is the amount you can take off your income taxes. You don't have to pay tax on that money. And there's a huge difference in what these plans cost, and I'll tell you what it is. If you go to the Kaiser Family Foundation site, you'll see that an average family of four spends about $21,000 a year in health care. That includes their out-of-pocket expenses, and it includes the premiums for the plans. A plan that covers exactly the same things with a minimum deductible of $2,500 only costs about $11,000. It's a difference of $10,000. The idea is you're going to save money, that's the $10,000, but you're going to need at least $2,500 of that $10,000 to put in your account to satisfy your deductible, or you can contribute $6,450 of it to your account. That satisfies both your deductible and comes off your income tax, and you're still going to be saving around $3,500 a year, every year. So it may not be impressive in the first year, but by the time you stretch the time limit out to 5 years, those savings are already up in the $15,000, $16,000 range, just the savings. And then there's the money that's in your account. That's why these plans are so attractive. That's why they're the fastest growing plan in America.
You know, how do we learn how to find out prices for your health care and use service like Angela's List that you talk about to tell where the best doctors and the best prices are in your city? And how do you understand that this is your money, and if you don't spend it, you keep it?
That's a very good question, and it's very difficult to answer, and I'll tell you why. Healthcare is pretty much the only product in America where you buy it and you have no idea what it costs. Very difficult to get your arms around that. Now, when you have an HSA qualified plan, one of the things that helps you is that you're an insured patient. And so while you may be thinking about what doctor to go to, you're going to be receiving the negotiated payments, the payment plan that your insurer has already worked with that doctor. And so someone insured with a traditional plan will go and get an office visit, and you'll see in your EOB, your explanation of benefits, that office visit costs about $38 to $50. Well, that price will be exactly the same for an HSA qualified plan for any patient insured under it. And so there's not that much opportunity to shop for costs there. Really where you're shopping for costs is what happens after you go to the visit. And so if you go to the doctor, and the doctor says to you that it would be beneficial to have this kind of MRI, this kind of diagnostic test, or you have to undergo this kind of treatment, generally speaking, that's where price information inures to the benefit of the consumer, because you can call. You can find out what it costs to get one procedure done at this facility versus one procedure at another facility. Those prices are available. That's where you really start to save money, but it starts before then in a different way. You're really thinking about whether you need it. And so I guess the biggest benefit to being an HSA-insured patient is that you're thinking about whether or not you need all the diagnostic tests you and your doctor have discussed. And you can have a more informed discussion with your physician and figure out exactly what tests you need and why. And just the cumulative benefit of that process going on in America is smarter Americans, people who are better consumers of healthcare products. And so we're hoping to reduce the waste, and we're hoping to do something else. Because the plans are what we call first dollar coverage for anything that is preventive. In other words, doesn't come out of your account because something like an annual checkup is the responsibility of the insurance company. People are using preventive care more because they're insured with HSAs. Why? If there was a problem, they would have to pay for it. And so they're much better users of preventive care, and that, generally speaking, avoids many of the more expensive treatments a long way down the road. And you see this in the employer environments especially. Things like wellness days, things like fitness reports. The HSA community has spawned wellness meters where you talk about your life habits, smoking, drinking, how much meat, how much do you weigh, how old you are, and it gives you some performance metrics for what you can expect to spend down the road. And since we're talking about your dollars and not the employer's dollars, there's a judiciousness that goes along with being an HSA patient that you generally don't find in other environments.
Kevin McKechnie is our guest, Executive Director of the ABA HSA Council, and we're talking about health savings account that can save you money on health care in 2013 and beyond. He explains how these plans work, the benefits of HSAs, and how to make one work for you. We're going to take a break and come back. Our phone lines are open. 1-866-620-6620, 803-733-5620. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, talk about savings accounts before your insurance kicks in, Kevin.
I sure can.
Please continue.
The way that these things work, it's a lot like an automobile policy in a couple of different ways. Think about it this way. There's no such thing as getting your car fixed after an accident until you satisfy your deductible. Well, in the healthcare example, in the HSA, what we wanted was an account. And we wanted an account where you could pre-fund that deductible. So those dollars are waiting for you to spend. And they're waiting for you building up tax-free over time because you're getting paid interest while they're in the bank. It's important to have these savings accounts because the dollars belong to the person that owns them. And so they can look any day they want online and they can see how much money they've got for future medical needs. There's one other thing I wanted to point out. The reason we have an account and the reason these are called high-deductible health plans is because we're not insuring against the risk of routine ailments. And that's been one of the biggest mistakes our country's made, which is trying to figure out how to insure against things you know are going to happen. Back to the automobile example, you certainly wouldn't insure against the possibility of an oil change or a brake job because you know you have to do those things as part of the routine maintenance that comes with owning a car. Well, same thing about you. You have to have an annual checkup. You have to go and get your blood taken. You have to have a PSA test. There's no risk here, and you shouldn't be paying an insurance company to insure you against that risk. These are certainties. And so the best way to manage that is to simply save those dollars in an account and pay them out of the account since they are routine and allow the insurance company to charge you just for those things that generate pure risk, like the risk of getting a major disease or ailment or the risk of injury due to accident. That's why the savings account.
I am actually learning a thing or two here about savings accounts. What are the lowest cost plans that will be offered on Affordable Care?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think the audience needs to know that we're not talking about lowest cost plans because unfortunately the Affordable Care Act has made everything more expensive and probably will make everything more expensive, certainly when it comes into full force in 2014. When we say affordable, we're going to say that they're going to be affordable relative to all the other choices available in either the state exchanges or the exchanges the federal government will operate on behalf of states that don't want to do it themselves. But right now, the benchmark for the 2012 benefit year was about $11,000 for a family of four. That's the premium and the contribution and the expenses that they incurred. And this is an average, and so there's going to be people much higher, there's going to be people much lower. But that's the average cost.
You know, as simple as this may sound, it's also complicated in somewhat ways because you're implying that these HSAs will somewhat stabilize the cost spikes of health insurance plans because they will be the lowest cost health plans.
That's exactly what we're saying. And because of recent regulatory rulings, we have enormous confidence in this answer. I'll tell you why. The plan is that when we shift the 30 million Americans that don't have health insurance into the ranks of the insured, somewhere someone has to pay. And we're expecting people to pay, and there's going to be subsidies and so on that go with, that help them pay. But at some point, the government stood back, and this was only not as much as 10 days ago, Armstrong. The government stepped back and said, our problem is that when the 30 to 45 million Americans suddenly come to the gates of the Affordable Care Act and have to buy insurance, most of the insurance plans available in America are kind of like Buicks. It's not a Cadillac, but it's certainly not a Kia or a Hyundai. And so we've got to figure out how to make a range of health insurance products available because our countrymen make a range of salaries. How do we accomplish that? The government decided that HSAs were about the best way because you've got two dynamics. They're the most affordable product in the marketplace now. They are leading the trend in employer-provided health care. Almost all the large companies in America have either substituted these plans for their traditional products or offer them as an alternative. And so for the groups that are coming into the system who are individuals and small businesses, this is where they're going to land. And they're going to land here because of cost first. They're going to land here because of usability and the applicability of the account over time second.
Wow. Do you think that Americans are understanding how to take advantage of this fastest growing healthcare plan, and how to get this implemented under Affordable Care? I mean, we're learning something new about this Affordable Care every day. There are just layers of unknown. Because before Obamacare takes place in January 2014, more than 50 million of Americans, do you think by that time they will have the HSA?
I'm very afraid of the dynamic you describe, because if you're in an employer environment, the way our system works is your employer makes the choices for you. And so if you've got a job, and you've got a job working for somebody else, we can have confidence that you're going to know all about HSAs. And you're going to know all about HSAs because your employer is going to tell you. What we don't have confidence in is that the exchanges will be up and running in a way that allows individual Americans who aren't in the marketplace now, so they don't have a connectivity to it now. How are these people going to figure out what their choices are? The answer was the Affordable Care Act provides what's called navigators to help you in these exchanges, to help you make those consumer choices that gets you an HSA or some other health insurance plan. Well, we've already seen states suggest they need way more time, so we're delaying past 2014 the effective date of when we think these exchanges might get up and running. And one of the reasons is, as you described, all these people who aren't in the marketplace now don't know how to get in. And so you've got to solve that very fundamental problem. The next fundamental problem you've got to solve is once they know where to log in from their computer or where to call from a telephone, what do they do when they get to those gates? There are going to be all these choices in front of them. How do they pick? How do they measure one plan against the other? And who's going to be there to explain it to them? Something a lot of Americans don't know is that the Affordable Care Act exempted, excluded, I'm not sure what the right word is here, but there is no provision in the Act to compensate the professionals in our country that we used to look to for this role, and that is health insurance brokers. Those folks do not have the same kind of revenue curve they've had before, and there's going to be many fewer of them in 2014 available to help the average American as he tries to navigate what should be one of the most complex purchases of their lives. They're not in this place. They're going to have to find out how to get in, and there's probably going to be a shortage of people with that knowledge available to help them.
You know, what are some of the, what about, is consumers, are they in a true marketplace? I mean, low premiums were one of the key benefits touted by proponents of high deductible health care plans. A few people even found that they simply bank their premium savings by investing in their HSAs. And so these premiums for these high deductible, the HSA qualified insurance policies are much lower than those for low deductible policies.
No, I'm sorry, did you say they're much more?
Much lower.
Oh, they're much lower. Yes, they are. And so they are being, that's the point. You're supposed to, if you're moving from a traditional plan to an HSA qualified plan, generally you're looking at substantial savings. And one of the things we're trying to educate America about is you can't just take that money and go buy, new consumer goods or a new car. You have to redirect that money to your account. You have to do that so that the money is available to pay the routine expenses you're going to have and to save over time.
But what about anyone who has serious health issues and treatment and survive might not be in favor of these high deductible plans where people think you're going to be able to invest your money and make more? I mean, healthcare issues occur obviously unexpectedly and experience, and it can be very expensive. It's why it's hard to save for many people.
You're not wrong, but there's an advantage to HSAs that shortly will be spread and enjoyed by other traditional plans. And here's what it is. The HSA plans have always had what's called a statutory out-of-pocket maximum. And so in the law, there was a number above which a consumer would never be required to pay. For example, in 2013, that number is $12,500 for family coverage. And so there's no ability to be charged more than that. And that means all your out-of-pocket expenses, all of your deductibles, all that has to be satisfied at $12,500. The Affordable Care Act imposed these caps on other plans, but they didn't in the employer market. And this is something to understand, because if you've got, say, what we call a 90-10 traditional plan, where there's a deductible, there's co-pays when you go to see your doctor, but there's this 10% co-insurance, and the insurance company will pay 90%. Well, that means that if you've got a systemic disorder, you're on the hook for 10% of everything. And in an HSA, almost always, coverage is 100% above the deductible, and even if it isn't, you're only going to be liable for $12,500 by law. And so you compare the plans. If you've got a $200,000 annual illness, you're a whole lot better off under the HSA plan, because you're only going to be liable for $12,500 instead of for $20,000 under the 90-10 plan. So we're seeing a lot of people.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Let me see. Horace, are you on the line? No, not yet. So, Kevin, I want to come back and give you a chance to wrap up and give your final thoughts on this topic, because it's been so fascinating. Kevin McKechnie is the director of the HSA Council, a partnership of banks, health insurers, and technology partners working to finance healthcare for Americans by increasing the adoption velocity of health savings accounts nationwide. Kevin, go ahead. Your final thoughts?
My final thought is first to thank you for the opportunity. We need to reach out to more Americans as quickly as we can to make them aware of their choices. And I think our job now, Armstrong, is to assure them that there is an alternative out there. It's called health savings accounts. We're very anxious to spread the word, and we appreciate your helping us do that today.
Listen, what's the best advice? I'm just waiting on Horace to show up. What's the best advice can you give someone who wants to sort of ignite and initiate this?
If you have access to a computer, you can go and look at the various HSA plans available from our bank partners, our insurance company partners, and even our credit card partners like MasterCard have basic descriptions of these plans on their websites. If you go to the Office of Personnel Management, because you're a federal employee, you can see HSA qualified plan descriptions right there. And more than likely, they're in your state government, your municipal government as well. Or you can visit the website at ABA, hsacouncil.com. We'd be happy to help you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you.
All the best. Well, our phone lines are open as we, if you have any comments about what you just heard, feel free to give us a buzz because, listen, that's important information, very important. Health savings accounts. It's just good information. It's an account your employer puts money into, tax-free, for you to use, pay to your medical bills, to meet your health insurance deductible. It is a tax-favored savings account created for the purpose of paying medical expenses. It is tax deductible up to the legal limit, just like an IRA. It is tax-free. Withdrawals to pay qualified expenses are never taxed. And it is also tax deferred. Quite interesting, I would say. Very interesting. So, Horace, before I jump into Horace, are you on the line? Not yet. So listen, our phone lines are open. 733-5620. Give us a call. 1-866-620-6620. I'd love to get your thoughts on not just the physical cliff, but just how you think the cliff is going to impact you. Do you think it's going to have an impact in a very positive way? There, in my opinion, I'm going to surprise you. There are some good things that came out of the physical cliff. I know for those who are probably conservative, you did not like the physical cliff deal that just passed. But the mainstream media may have overlooked a few important things that help many people and the economy. Particularly for me, the housing market, oh boy, will continue to get better because the politicians didn't touch the mortgage interest rate deduction and the long-term tax relief on mortgage debt. Housing is very important to lower and middle income people. And remember the economic collapse in 2008 absolutely ruined people's entire savings and future by sinking their housing value. If these two items weren't extended, many more would go underwater and there would be a surplus of houses in the market. It's certainly not a good thing. So listen, it has certainly impacted the housing market. And I know many people, I know so many, I was surprised today. I was talking to someone who does very well financially, but their house is underwater and they have no idea how they're going to get out of it. And he and his spouse makes over six figures together. Yes, over six figures. Oh, Horace, a voice out of the wilderness.
Oh, this is not Horace. This is David.
David, are you just a caller?
I am just a caller, yes.
Well, that's good.
I was trying to get in with your HSA guy in reference to his one policy fits all, which, there's going to be many policies out there. HSA, from what I understand, I used to be in the industry, and I know they can be very expensive. And the way you keep them from being expensive, you have these high deductibles that you have to reach before the policy begins to kick in. So I think there's going to be many plans will come into play once the Affordable Care Act is in place. It's much like I didn't get so much pushback, and I was selling when they put the the prescription plan in with President Bush, and you created so many different Medicare Advantage companies came alongside with that prescription drugs. And I think it's going to be the same way with the Affordable Care Act. It's going to be a lot of companies that come alongside and bring different plans in place. So I don't think the HSA is going to be the game changer.
It's not a panacea.
Right.
Well, listen, what do you think about the fact that your money rolls over each year and for the rest of your life, and it's not a lose it account? That seems to be pretty attractive. What are the disadvantages to that?
That's out there, but again, the bottom line is very expensive, and the everyday citizen may not be able to participate in the plan because you're putting so much in for your premiums, and so it's not really advantageous for the clients that I serve. They really didn't have the kind of discretionary money to put aside. If you had that, you could just go straight to the doctor without any kind of plan at all. So that's there's some risk that's being taken, which is the insurance company takes a great amount of risk. That's why you have insurance in the first place. Is the way I understand that the risk pool kind of increases more for the insurance side, less for the policyholder.
Well, from your experience, what would you recommend?
Well, I'm quite sure some companies out there that's going to create some plans, not to give too much plug to the Blue Cross and Blue Shields of the world, but there's some other little companies out there that probably can be a part of the conversation and create as we're in a capitalistic society. More companies can come alongside that's out there that can come up with some plans. I know you referenced it 90-10 or 80-20 or 60-40, or different kind of plans you put in place like that, and do the deductibles high to get it more affordable and more competition out there for the different plans that's coming online is what's going to happen, in my opinion.
I guess the point that you're making, your plan depends upon your health situation and your financial situation.
Most definitely.
Expound on that a little.
Well, they took the pre-existing condition off of the landscape. People can't eliminate you because if you have some pre-existing condition, to come and get the underwriting in place, so that insurance companies have to take a little bit more risk to write clients that they normally would not write. So that may have to adjust the premiums when you come to getting a larger pool of persons into the insurance pool, and so that's going to drive the business and how the premiums come about for each person.
Boy, I'm telling you, it's a shocker how much the premiums have increased. We got a notice today, caller. Our premiums have increased. Our healthcare coverage has gone up 100%. Not 50%. No. It is double, 100%.
Well, that's shocking. Is that group plan or individual?
Group plan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
normally groups are less because you got a larger pool to pull from, and so if they haven't worked for insurance companies have their profit factor into the premiums, and it's more about they want to keep premiums coming in versus paying out the claims. So that's nature of the industry. That's how it's set up.
But how do they think people, especially employers, is going to keep up with this cost and pay for it? And if they can't pass it on to the employees, they're gonna cut payroll, man.
I've heard that.
Heard it? I mean, what would you do?
Yeah, I've heard some of that conversation to the Papa John's and even one of the local restaurants here in South Carolina was talking about they're going to decrease the hours of the employees so that they can take care of what needs to be taken care of. But I don't know how that's going to work out. But that's what's on the landscape.
Is it the insurance companies? Is it the hospitals? I mean, what needs to change?
I think the cost is something they have to recognize. The cost of health care is a factor. The driving cost is this. How can you hold down the cost of health care? That's part of it. I think it's part and parcel. Insurance companies, hospitals, doctors. It's a total thing. You just can't do one side of it and not the other side.
Hey Armstrong, how are you doing?
I guess that's Horace Cooper.
Yeah, I wanted to get in on this argument.
I have been calling your name for the last 10 minutes.
Well, I wanted to jump in on the point about what are the problems that are contributing to this catastrophic.
Well, we're going to let's go. Carla, I want you to stay. Can you stay with us?
I'll stay as long as I can.
Good. I want you to stay to be a guest. Horace is joining us. The bell is ringing. We're coming back. Don't go away.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Now, our caller, your name is Dave?
David.
David, good. Horace, go for it.
Well, here's the challenge that we face. We've given people, I think, impressions about the things that they can have in terms of health care that are simply unrealistic. We don't tell people with their automobiles. We don't tell people with their housing repairs. We don't tell people in a whole host of areas that you should just expect, because you want it, because you desire it, that you're going to be able to get it. What we do in most aspects of life is that we make you the primary decision maker, and we make you the primary purchaser. In healthcare, it is one of the few areas where we do everything we can to separate out the person who's getting the benefit from the person who's paying the cost. Even if you pay for your own health care insurance, when you go to see the doctor, the amount of money that you give to the doctor is often quite nominal. The way insurance is supposed to work, and that's part of the thing that makes it attractive, is you pay in your premiums in the hope that you actually don't get sick. But with the system that we presently have, people are encouraged, in some instances even forced, to go in and get the types of coverage that costs money, that expands the cost higher and higher and higher to everyone. Most Americans still get their insurance not by payments that they make directly, but by employers who make payments on their behalf. And so they are often so far removed. There isn't any interest in shopping around for best value. There isn't really interest in getting a better assessment of whether or not this particular treatment is the right one. There isn't any interest in changing any particular types of prescriptions that are used for it. Government then steps in and tries to make those kinds of cost savings decisions for us. Until we come to terms with this reality, every American, if they're not in prison, if they're not mentally incompetent, or if they're not 18 years of age, take away all those other people and keep all the rest of us, all of the rest of us are going to have to shoulder the burden of our own health care needs. And suddenly, like cars, like appliances, like homes, like a lot of other products that we buy in the market, we will see a lot less dramatic shifts in pricing, and we'll see a lot more ability to have the kinds of valuable treatments that people can competitively aspire to.
David?
Hey, Mr. Horace is all over the map. I don't really know what he said, but in reference to insurance and the industry itself and being affordable, I think is the key point of what you have to address. I mean, having been a military soldier, had not been a military soldier, then I would be in a catch 22. So I think the key is to control costs and also preventive care, because if you can get to the doctor early on and get your wellness checks and get all these things in place before those catastrophic things come about, which I think you alluded to before we went to the break. If you can catch those things, illnesses, ahead of time, then that keeps the cost down, and that keeps more people with the opportunity to even be in the conversation, be a part of sharing in the cost of insurance.
Well, you know, David, if that were true, that might be a strategy that could succeed. But the problem is that the lion's share of healthcare dollars are spent late in the lives of most Americans, and that means in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. We're all eventually going to be in our 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. There is no prevention treatment that you can take that is going to prevent you from that, and that means that's going to have that knee surgery. That means that there may have to be a bypass surgery, heart valve. That means all manner of late-in-life treatment that is the most expensive kind of treatment. If we were able to treat those kinds of things in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, and 50s with prevention techniques, those techniques would have already been mandatory. It is just the case that we have a system where either employers or third parties pay for health care, and the individual is sitting around saying, I don't have the right incentives to decide, is this the best doctor? Is this the best service? Is this the best treatment? If you were having your car serviced, if you were having contracting work done on your house, you have every incentive in the world to find out personally, is this the best way to proceed? Now, you don't have to be an electrician to understand that you want to get a good electrician. Yet in the healthcare arena, we turn it all over to the insurance companies and the doctors. We don't give any responsibility to the individual. Most choices when patients are talking about doctors have more to do with personality and location than they do with the specific evaluation of the skill sets of those individuals. You're never going to get the cost down of health coverage until you are able to help the actual recipient of that coverage own the responsibility of making sure it's cost effective.
Now that makes sense. That makes sense. Dave, you can't argue with that. That makes sense. I think we lost David. Horace.
Oh, that's unfortunate because I think many of listeners are like David who have sort of a false impression that it's those mean insurance companies. Of course they're the mean insurance companies. That's what they live to do. But we didn't have to have a system that was dominated by the mean insurance companies. And letting the big bad government beat up on the mean insurance companies, that's a fight that they will take every day of the week. It still doesn't come down to actual benefits for us. I don't blame the insurance companies for having great lobbyists in Washington, D.C. What would you expect them to do? That's what they do. They live to make a profit. There's nothing wrong with making a profit, but their interests and their incentives are not aligned to see to it that you and I get the best coverage and treatment that we can get. That's part of the begrudging part of the deal where they go ahead on and pay. They go ahead on and approve. We need to put you and me and the individual back in charge of making these healthcare decisions. And by doing so, making us responsible for some of the costs associated with that. When people have to actually pay out of their pocket, when people have to actually write that check, there's a lot more interest in making sure this is the right thing to do. You don't have to be a brainiac. You don't have to have a special degree. When you're actually paying for it, you're incentivized to figure out who's giving me the right service and who's not.
Our phone lines are open. If callers are there, just speak up. Horace, your thoughts on the positives of the short-term fiscal cliff. Not what's wrong with it. We know about that, but the positives.
Well, there are not too many positives. I would suggest many people in Washington, D.C. are responding to the very pressures that they're getting from all of us as citizens. And if this is the kind of outcome that we like, I don't think many of us do, but if it's the kind of outcome that we like, we have to look in the mirror and say, what have we done to create this environment? Right now, I would say it is better than no deal to let people under $400,000 not have to face the confiscatory tax hikes that they would have done otherwise. That's a positive. But it's only a modest positive because it still goes along with the phony notion that people who are high-income earners somehow aren't paying their fair share, that somehow Bill Gates uses more sheriff service or more fire department service than people who are not in the Bill Gates category. We are all equal under the law, and we ought to come up with a system that allows every adult to participate at the tax level that demonstrates that level of equality. It would have two effects. One, it would represent the equality of our nation, but two, a whole lot of Americans show up at the cafeteria and they put a lot of food on their tray, they put a lot of items on their tray, and when they get to the cash register, they say, oh, you're in that 47%, move on, yours is free, yours is free. The rest come along and they end up having to be careful about what they put on their tray. They have to look and make sure that everything they're getting on that they want, because they're going to have to pay for it. Now, with today's fiscal cliff deal, they got to pay even more for the same amount. It's good that everybody isn't going to have to pay more, or everybody that pays taxes is going to have to pay more, but it's only a modest improvement.
But you know what?
Mr. Boehner's plan for $1 million was a little bit better.
Horace, everybody's paying taxes, though.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite line. Everybody's paying taxes. Actually, everybody is not paying taxes.
If you're getting a payroll check, if you're receiving a payroll check, you're paying taxes.
Yeah, everybody's paying sales taxes. Everybody's paying insurance taxes, Social Security taxes. Everybody is paying property taxes if they own property. But everybody is not paying income taxes, and income taxes are the lion's share of the resources that cover all of the services that we get in this country. So, hey, you're contributing to the Social Security program. I call it a Ponzi scheme, but at least you're contributing something to that. But that's still not the same thing as the person who's actually paid the Social Security, actually paid the real estate taxes, actually paid the sales taxes, and then are going to also pay the income taxes. Those are the people that this fiscal cliff bill penalizes, especially if they make more than $400,000.
Thank you so much, Horace. It's always good talking to you. Happy 2013.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you all so much for joining us. I want to thank our callers, and we want to thank Kevin McKechnie.
For more information